Hi guys, in today's video I'll be talking about color grading in Premiere Pro. You might ask, why Premiere Pro when I can do the same thing in After Effects? And you're absolutely right. However, when it comes to color correction, Premiere simply feels better. The main reason I personally prefer Premiere for color work is the Lumetri Scopes. They make it much easier to read and control exposure, contrast, and colors accurately. And yes, this also reveals my little color grading secret. I always color correct my videos in Premiere Pro, and then do all the other editing and VFX work in After Effects. This is also my very first tutorial in Premiere Pro, so I really hope you enjoy it. I want to mention 16:am film shake presets, created for speed ramp edits, cinematic edits, and more. Just drag and drop the presets, no plugins or extra installation required. Works seamlessly with Adobe After Effects on both Windows and Mac. Let's get started. If you're not familiar with Lumetri Scopes, let me quickly explain what they do and why they're helpful. Think of them like the histogram on a camera. They show exposure, highlights, and shadows, helping you control the overall image and avoid overexposed or crushed footage. Now let's move on to color correction. I'll be using this clip from my last trip, shot on the DJI Pocket 3 in the D-Log-M profile. The first thing I do is apply the official DJI Lut. Open the Creative tab, click Look, and load the D-Log-M to Rec 709 LUT. This converts the flat log footage into a normal color space and gives us a solid base to start color correcting. As you can see, the image already looks fine, but it still needs a bit of retouching. Take a look at the Lumetri Scopes. The exposure is peaking, which means the image is slightly overexposed and needs to be fixed for a smoother, more balanced look. Let's start with basic correction. First, I'll slightly lower the exposure. Watch the Lumetri Scopes as I do this so you can clearly see how the values change and how it affects the image. Now the image looks better, but according to the scopes, it's still not perfectly balanced. I'll increase the contrast a little. This helps separate the highlights and shadows, giving the image more depth and preventing it from looking flat. Next, I'll reduce the highlights slightly. This brings back detail in the bright areas, like the sky or reflections, and prevents them from looking washed out or clipped. I'll also raise the shadows slightly. This helps recover detail in the darker areas and makes the image feel more open and balanced without crushing the blacks. Since the image was overexposed, I'll also lower the whites a little. This reduces the brightest parts of the image without affecting the overall contrast too much. With the basic correction done, I'll move on to the temperature. Right now, the image feels a bit cold for my taste, so I'll increase the temperature slightly to add some warmth and make the image feel more natural. That already looks much better. Now we can move on to the next section, curves. In the curve, I'll create 3 points, one for the shadows, one for the midtones, and one for the highlights. First, I'll slightly pull down the shadows. This helps add depth to the image and prevents the blacks from looking washed out. Next, I'll pull down the midtones a bit. This gives more control over the overall exposure and helps the image feel more balanced. I'll also bring the highlights down slightly. This helps protect the bright areas and keeps them from looking harsh or clipped, giving us a smoother roll-off in the highlights. Finally, I'll lift the shadows from the very first point like this to add a subtle fade. This raises the deepest blacks, creating a softer, more cinematic look and preventing the shadows from being pure black. If you look at the scopes now, you can see that everything is much more balanced, and the image itself also looks cleaner and more pleasing. Let me show you the before and after so you can clearly see the difference. Now let's move on to the next setting, hue versus saturation. In this clip, I don't actually need to add more saturation because the image is already well saturated, but I still want to show you how this tool works. For example, let's say I want to increase the saturation of the sky and make the blues pop a bit more. Select the eyedropper tool in hue versus saturation and click on the sky. You'll see 3 points appear on the curve, focused around the blue color range. Now grab the middle point and pull it up to increase the saturation of only the blues in the video. If you pull it down instead, you'll desaturate the blues. This way, you can control specific colors without affecting the rest of the image, which is extremely useful for clean color grading. But as I mentioned, the blues are already fine in this case, so I won't push them. Next is hue versus hue, and this is one of my favorite tools to play with. Hue versus hue allows you to shift one color into another color without changing its saturation or brightness. In simple words, it changes the color tone itself. This is very useful when a color looks slightly off, for example when the sky looks too cyan or too purple and you want a more natural blue. For example, I'll grab the eyedropper tool and select the sky. You'll see the points appear on the curve around the blue range. Now if I pull the point up or down, you'll notice that the blue sky starts changing its color tone. It can shift more towards cyan, purple, or a deeper blue, depending on how much you move it. A small adjustment here won't harm your image at all, but if you overdo it, the colors can start to look very unnatural. That's why with hue versus hue, less is always more. Tiny adjustments usually give the best and most realistic results. Let me show you the before and after. I'm not sure how clearly you can see the difference because of YouTube compression, but in my case the sky now looks softer and closer to the look I wanted. With hue versus hue done, I usually skip the rest of the curve options below and jump straight to color wheels and match. This section is very important, and also very easy to mess up if you don't know what you're doing. Color wheels allow you to control the color and brightness separately for shadows, midtones, and highlights. This is powerful because it lets you shape the mood of the image, but it can also completely ruin your footage if you overdo it. If you push the colors too far, skin tones can look unnatural, shadows can become muddy, and highlights can look dirty or color shifted. On the good side, when used carefully, color wheels help you add depth, contrast, and a cinematic color balance to your image. Let's start with the shadows. I'll push the color slightly toward the warm side. Just a small touch like this already adds a nicer feel to the darker areas. After that, I'll lower the shadows a bit to make them slightly darker, which adds more contrast and depth to the image. Next are the midtones. I'll also make them a bit warmer, because midtones affect most of the image, including skin tones. Then I'll brighten them slightly to bring back detail and make the image feel more alive. Finally, the highlights. Here I'll push them a little toward the colder side. This creates a nice color separation between the warm shadows and midtones and the cooler highlights. I'll also darken the highlights just a bit to avoid them looking too harsh or overexposed. And that's it for the color wheels. Small, controlled adjustments make a huge difference here, and this step alone can take your color grading to the next level if you don't overdo it. One important thing to remember is do not copy these exact adjustments. Every image and every video has its own lighting, colors, exposure, dynamic range, and mood. This is also why I personally think using LUTs is almost always a bad idea, especially for beginners. A LUT is created based on a very specific clip, shot in a specific location, with specific lighting, camera settings, and color profile. When you take that LUT and apply it to your own footage, your video will most likely not look the same as what you saw on YouTube, Instagram, or in ads. In many cases, it will look worse over-contrasted, oversaturated, or with broken skin tones. The bigger problem is that when you rely on LUTs or copy someone else's exact settings, you don't actually learn color correction. You don't understand what exposure, contrast, curves, or color wheels are doing, and you won't know how to fix a bad image when a LUT fails. You're basically pressing one button and hoping for the best. Color grading is about reading your image, using scopes, and adjusting the footage based on what it needs, not based on someone else's numbers. Once you understand how each setting works and why you move it, you'll be able to color grade any clip, in any condition, with confidence. This is just my opinion, of course. You can do whatever feels best for you. With all that said, the last step is the vignette. A vignette is a subtle darkening, or sometimes lightening around the edges of the frame. It helps draw attention toward the center of the image, guiding the viewer's eye to the main subject and giving the shot a more cinematic feel. First, I'll decrease the amount slightly. This controls how strong the darkening is around the edges. Too much will look unnatural, too little, and you won't see the effect. Next, I'll increase the midpoint a bit. This determines how far the vignette extends into the center of the frame. Increasing it pushes the dark edges outward, keeping more of the main subject bright and visible. Then I'll increase the roundness. This changes the shape of the vignette from oval to more circular. A more rounded vignette often looks more natural, especially if your subject is centered. Finally, I'll increase the feather. This softens the edges of the vignette, making the transition from dark to light smooth and subtle. A hard vignette can look artificial, but a feathered one blends seamlessly with the image. The image I have right now looks good. I'm happy with it. Most of the colors in the video are just browns and blues, so there's not much else I can do to improve it visually. However, if we take a closer look at the Lumetri Scopes, we can see that the exposure and highlights are fine, but the shadows are slightly peaking. This means the darkest areas aren't perfectly balanced yet. We can fix this to achieve a cleaner and more polished image, though it also depends on the mood or style of color grading you're going for. To adjust this, let's expand the basic correction panel. I'll bump up the shadows slightly. This lifts the darkest parts of the image, recovering details that were too deep or crushed, and gives the image a more natural, balanced look while keeping contrast in the highlights intact. We can also open the curves panel and make a small adjustment to the shadows curve. Since I don't want to brighten the shadows too much, I'll pull the curve down slightly. Now the image looks clean and balanced. Let me show you the before and after color corrections so you can see the difference. Everything looks good to me. Now you might be wondering how to send this video to After Effects to continue editing while keeping the color correction applied. It's simple. Right-click on the clip in Premiere Pro and choose Replace with After Effects Composition. Premiere will launch After Effects and create a new composition for you. Save the project somewhere, and now you can continue editing in After Effects with the same video and color grading intact. You can even make further adjustments in AE if you realize you want to tweak anything. So that's how I color correct my videos. Both After Effects and Premiere Pro have the Lumetri color effect, and they work similarly, but for me, Premiere really wins when it comes to proper color correction. Maybe I'm biased, but I find it much easier and faster to adjust exposure, contrast, and colors in Premiere than in After Effects. Hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a like.